Hey, I totally didn't see you there. I'm in it. Look.
Now, if you've ever been to a prize counter in an arcade before, chances are you've seen these guys before. Army men. These little guys go for around 25 tickets, so it's easy to get a whole bunch and have your own little battles with them. I always thought these guys were interesting in their own little ways, coming in their own poses as if there was a battle that was captured in time. A battle that happens to be taking place in your house, your now very big house. It always allows for more creative imagining to be had about how your room is decorated and how army battles could happen there. Now, these army men were popular enough to warrant a video game to be made about them. Army Men Sarge's Heroes, developed by none other than 3DO. And when I say none other, I mean it, as they created 23 Army Men games from 1998 to 2010, with 17 of those titles coming from 1998 to 2001 alone. So the reception must have been great, right? Well, this is coming from 3DO, the same company who made the 3DO console, which sold for around $700, even then not doing well. So it's not that much of a surprise to learn that Army Men didn't really do the best in sales, especially during the series' later years. Nothing stays new forever after all. However, Army Men Sarge's Heroes 1 and 2 are 3DO's golden children, being at the perfect balance of coming after the realistic war setting of its previous games, focusing on the fact that they are small toy soldiers, and just before the series started to feel repetitive with its games. So needless to say that I'm glad to have owned this game as a child, because this game was my childhood. Army Men Sarge's Heroes released on a Nintendo 64 back in 1999, and then for the Dreamcast and PlayStation the following year. The game falls into the red versus blue type of game, except with green and tan. From what I can gather, people seem to really enjoy this game, and have a feeling of nostalgia playing it, myself included. This game has two primary modes to select from: the single-player campaign mode, and the multiplayer party mode, which I will get into later. Army Men tells its story through in-game cutscenes, and with limited animations, it can be kinda silly at times, which I think adds to the charm of the game. Everything's just so choppy, I love it. The game starts off with an attack from General Plastro, the leader of the Tan Army. He plans on taking down the Green Army so that nobody can stop his plan to take over the world. You play the role of Sarge, and you're put up with the task of making it through the enemy-filled levels, rescuing members of Bravo Company, and putting a stop to General Plastro. It doesn't take you long before you realize that it's you versus the entire Tan Army. Even when rescuing fellow soldiers, they do not help you at all. They become escort missions. More like Army Man Sarge. Thank you, Sarge. Now let's get you out of here. You lead the way and I'll, follow. What? This is where the difficulty makes its way into the game. Sure, the game may only be 15 levels long, but these levels are very hard. I was playing on normal difficulty and I still had a difficult time. You see, you can't just tank your way through every single level. You'll find yourself dying an awful lot. Your goal is to take out enemies to make it easier to navigate, and later on to make your escape easier on escort missions. Every level you start out with a limited amount of ammo to use, which really has you conserve your ammo near the beginning. Luckily, the game is really generous with the amount of ammo and weapons you can pick up. The starting weapon has the most amount of ammo laying around in these stages, and this weapon will take care of a good majority of the types of enemies you come across. Thankfully, this game has an auto-target feature. It's not perfect by any means, but using it correctly, you can take out a whole group of enemies, or even unseen threats without taking any damage. Another weapon got a lot of use out of this is the sniper. This weapon is perfect for the sneaky missions. Great for taking out enemies before they even notice you. And it doesn't alert guards, even right in front of other guards. When I say every level starts with limited ammo, you cannot keep ammo throughout the stages. Back to square one each time, so you'll always need to know where ammo packs are in a pinch. And this brings me to my next point: unfair enemy placement. You might be lucky when they don't spot you, but other times, these enemies are brutal. Scoping in on enemies just makes you a sitting duck, so that will never work. And then there are the enemies with the overpowered weapons. And when you aren't expecting them, it can sting a little. There are the rocket launchers that can kill you instantly if you aren't at full health. There are snipers that can drain half of your health in an instant. And then there are the flamethrowers that will cause you to burn until you die. It's not mentioned anywhere in the game as far as I can tell, but rolling actually stops the burning. But it won't help much if you're getting chased, as they could just relight you right after rolling. Oh, and fall damage. Which is fine if it weren't for the fact that this game was not made for platforming. The game could be so slow at times. Look at this! In a later mission, you literally have to perform a leap of faith and hope you don't slip off, or it's back to the beginning of the level. It's also important to know that you do not want to die in these levels. No matter how far you are in a mission, if you die, you start from the very beginning. No checkpoints. And nothing hurts more than dying in a mission roughly 30 minutes in.
I have to beat this game.
Dang it! Back to the story. While you are rescuing your fellow soldiers, Vicky, Colonel Grimm's daughter, and the only character with skin, is captured by the Tan Army. This causes Plastro to learn of the Green Team's plans thanks to her. Thankfully, there's always a portal at the end of each level, so there is always a way to escape. Oh yeah, and Plaster threatens the Green Army by showing them footage of them melting members of the Green Army, and later, turning prisoners into spiders.
Excuse me, what?
Like, I can understand the first point, showing what happens to their men to threaten them to stop attacking, but turning prisoners into spiders? They don't even mention why they do this. It never shows up again in the future levels. And what's worse is the spiders are still hostile towards you. After trying my best to forget about that, you continue through the levels, saving a few more members, Vicky included, escaping from a dog. To be fair, we did wake it up from a really good nap.
And I love my naps.
Eventually you arrive at the final portal of the game, which I very carefully approached, because I didn't want to die. You meet up with Vicky, only for Plaster to get in your way one last time, and he lights the conveniently placed dynamite nearby and threatens to remove the final portal and leave you trapped with him. You end up tackling Plastro, risking your life to save Vicky. Just as she leaves, however, Plastro pins Sarge down, planning to die with him. It's then when the dog from before saves the day and takes Plastro away, giving you just enough time to escape the portal right before it explodes.
I won!
You meet up with everyone you saved who cheers for your bravery, and you give Vicky a big hug, and that's the end. Or is it?
This is continuing Arm and Sarge's Heroes 2. But let's talk about multiplayer.
Well, now multiplayer. I have tons of memories playing this game. Here's a first grade journal from 2008. I mean, it was my only console I had around this time. No, I still didn't own a GameCube. Back then, I only had 5 games. Namco Museum, Turok 2, Rampage 2, Pokemon Stadium, Mario Kart, and Army Men Sarge's Heroes. I made all of these games worth it, having stories for each one, but Army Men was different. I was never really good at playing shooter games, and there's a reason I never finished Call of Duty 3. Now there's only one multiplayer game mode, first to 3, 5, or 10 wins. However, there is a lot of content within this mode. Starting with the stages, there's a lot to choose from. Every single area from the campaign mode is available. There's also this really cool Skull Island in the bottom right, but I haven't found a way to access it. Not even beating the game unlocked it, so please let me know if there's a way to unlock the stage. I would love to play on this map. After that, you choose your character, unlocking more as you play through the game. You can even play as Plastro after beating the game. Now the gameplay on this mode is very simple. There are weapons spread throughout the map, with the better weapons more in the middle to add a bit of risk. Because this game is split screen, you'll probably end up screen cheating or using the mini-map to find out where people are. And if you die, you lose all your pickups, making it a bit difficult to recover later on. It's because of this fact this mode can seem to end quite quickly. So what do? Well, you create your own game modes. This is how I got tons of enjoyment out of the game. These maps are really big and all very creative, and with no time limit, you can let your imagination fly. My personal favorite was to play hide and seek. Simply turn off mini-maps, someone hides, and you try to find them based on their screen. And with how big these maps are, it's really fun to run around and see all the little details. The foggy atmosphere, the fake serial art, the abundance of 3DO placement. And with the weapon placement, this really encourages exploration. The golden gun of this game is the flamethrower. One spray and they're done. This weapon is so powerful that even the game struggles to handle it.
And there we go, Armored Stars Heroes 2. It's a game that I hold near and dear to my heart, mainly due to the fact that it's not meant to be taken seriously, the inconsistent frame rate, the fact that it allows for creativity on both the developer's part and the player's part, and I don't think there will be ever a game just like this. Now let's see how the sequel holds up. Maybe not?